They're 4 and 5 years old, and they just didn't make a big deal out of being a boy or a girl.
And I think
Again, they're not supposed to because they're 5. What you have to go through to find me these things. Welcome to another reaction video. Today we're going to be responding to a training video used by the state of North Carolina to equip daycare workers on gender issues. Here we go.
Huckleberries. Today, I wanted to introduce you to a new friend in our class. Well, this, Huckleberries, is my friend Nash. It's their first day in our class. They're just looking around at all of you, and they're so curious to know who you all are. Today was fun.
I'd like to interrupt at this point. When you look at all the little daycare kids who are so sweet and vulnerable and innocent and exposed, and you see what's being done to them, just realize all you have to do is wait 15 years and they're going to be up here sitting in a group talking this kind of nonsense. In other words, feel sorry for them now, because a time will come when you don't anymore.
It was really interesting, though, knowing going in, being like, I don't know what questions kiddos are going to have or what they're going to say, which is...
This is clearly raw courage.
Both like nerve-wracking, but also kind of exciting. It's that place of not knowing as a teacher and just being okay with that. And the friend likes to ask the question, are you a boy or a girl? And Nash answers, I'm just a kid.
Yeah, why don't you let me be just a kid? Why can't I just be a kid? Leave me alone. I think Nash is onto something.
But kids can be boys or...
They can be boys.
There's sort of wisdom from the floor here. Kids can be boys or girls. Golly.
Boys or girls. Yeah.
Or maybe non-binary.
Yeah.
It was
Maybe non-binary. And they're going to make a big deal out of this not having come from the front of the classroom when it came from home or the television or some other godforsaken place.
just like non-binary, yeah. That's just something that we know.
We know it. Ta-da, we know it. How do we know it? Well, there are people who deny it, but we have clubbed them into submission. There are people, see, if you have people who say that you can have non-binary reality, and then there are people who say you can't, what does that do? That creates a non-binary, that creates a binary world. If you have the non-binary advocates and the anti-non-binary advocates, that's a binary setup. So we have to get rid of the people who deny it, because we need a non-binary homogenized world. We need to throw everything into the blender and get ourselves a cultural smoothie.
This is something, I mean, it's like they're 4 and 5 years old, and they just didn't make a big deal out of being a boy or a girl.
and I think
Again, they're not supposed to because they're 5. It becomes more relevant later. Something we used to call growing up.
was a huge testament to how much we've been talking about it in the
No kidding.
classroom, that you never mentioned the term non-binary. It was a child who brought that up because it's constantly in conversation.
Whose conversation? We never brought it up, and yet we've managed to steer these kids right down this path. This is just an example of how they're kidding themselves. We're not propagandizing anybody. We're just letting the wisdom flow from the daycare kids.
Yeah, just like me. So Nash, just like me, is non-binary. So they aren't sure if they're a boy or a girl. So when people ask them, are you a boy or a girl? Right now they just feel like saying, I'm a kid. They're figuring it out.
I'm a kid, as opposed to non-kids. Isn't that binary? Are there kids and non-kids? Isn't everybody a kid? Aren't we all kids?
Why does he like stars?
They like stars.
They like stars.
Yeah. And they are
Why did
really...
he wear a star shirt?
They wore their star shirt because it's their favorite shirt. And because they were nervous today, they thought they would wear something that makes them feel special.
And if you want to feel special, what you have to do is become non-binary to blend in with absolutely everything else. You have to get boiled down into the soup of our cultural goo so you can be special and stand out. People like to pretend that there's such a thing as neutrality. Propaganda is that which is to be propagated. This is a certain worldview, a secularist, non-binary, androgynous worldview that is being propagated by means of propaganda. And they come for the kids, and these kids are already a little bit too old because one of them already pointed out that kids can be boys or girls. We need to get them earlier. So this is a radical militant agenda, and they're not going to stop until they have everyone, or until they're stopped.